Have you ever felt trapped by anger or frustration? Have you ever been upset about things that, in retrospect, weren't worth it? In this video, we will explore 10 powerful Stoic strategies that will help you remain calm in any situation and free yourself from anger and irritation once and for all. As Carl Jung once said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. This mindset is the key to achieving inner peace. Anger does not stem from what happens, but from how we interpret those events. But don't worry, because in this video, you won't just learn how to manage anger. You will also discover practical tools to respond with serenity in any circumstance. And at the end of the video, I will reveal the most powerful strategy that the Stoics used to remain unshakable in the face of any provocation. Before we begin, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated. Let's get started. 1. Distinguish what you can and cannot control. Think about the last time you got angry. Was it because someone treated you poorly? Because something didn't go as expected? Most people get upset over things they can't actually change, and that's like trying to stop the rain with your hands. Useless and exhausting. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, taught that human suffering comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. We cannot decide what others do, but we can decide how we react. This idea, far from being just philosophy, has been supported by modern psychology. Dr. Albert Ellis, creator of rational emotive behavior therapy, discovered that it is not events that affect us, but our interpretation of them. In other words, anger does not come from what happens, but from how we choose to see it. Think about it. If a driver cuts you off in traffic, is it worth ruining your day over someone who probably didn't even notice? If someone speaks badly about you, does their opinion change who you really are? The energy you spend on frustration is energy that could be invested in something that is actually within your control. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom to choose our reaction. Even in the worst possible scenarios, he understood that his attitude was the one thing no one could take away from him. But how do we apply this in daily life? The key is to ask yourself a simple question whenever something irritates you. Can I do something about it? If the answer is yes, act wisely. If you're worried about your health, take care of your diet and exercise. If there's a conflict at work, address the situation calmly and find solutions. If the answer is no, let it go. You can't control the weather, the past, or others' opinions, so why let them steal your peace? Instead of wasting energy on external things, redirect it to what is within your control, your attitude, your decisions, your mental focus. This will not only make you calmer, but also stronger and more strategic in life. Remember, true freedom begins when you stop fighting the inevitable and start mastering what truly matters. 2. Delay your reaction. Take a moment before responding. How many times have you said something in anger and later regretted it? Maybe you sent a message you shouldn't have, raised your voice in an argument, or responded with an attitude that only made things worse. Anger is an intense emotion that pushes us to react without thinking, but what distinguishes a wise person from an impulsive one is their ability to pause before acting. Psychology has studied this in depth. Daniel Goleman, author of Emotional Intelligence, explains that anger activates the amygdala, a part of the brain responsible for emotional responses. When this happens, the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of the brain, temporarily disconnects, leading us to react with anger before thinking clearly. This is why we say things we later regret or make decisions that we end up paying the consequences for. The Stoics understood this mechanism perfectly. Seneca warned that anger is like a brief madness and advised against acting under its influence. Marcus Aurelius also wrote in his Meditations, "Strive not to act, moved by the emotion of the moment. If you do, you will regret it." This idea is not exclusive to Stoicism. Buddhism also reminds us that holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So, How can we prevent emotion from taking control? Here are some techniques to help you achieve that. First, breathe deeply. Inhaling and exhaling slowly reduces amygdala activation, helping you regain calm. Try the 4-7-8 breathing technique. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds and exhale for 8 seconds. This exercise allows you to slow down and gain mental clarity before reacting. Second, count to 10 or 100 if necessary. It may seem simple, but it works very well. By counting slowly, you give your brain time for the prefrontal cortex to regain control, preventing an impulsive response. Next, put the situation into perspective. Ask yourself, will this still matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often, what makes us angry in the moment loses significance over time. Reflecting on this helps you relativize the problem and avoid losing your cool over something fleeting. Then, step away from the situation. If you feel your anger about to overflow, leave the room, take a walk, or change your environment. This shift in perspective will allow you to cool down and process the situation more objectively. Also, think of a wise person. Ask yourself, if someone I admire were in my place, how would they react? Modeling the behavior of a calm person will help you choose a more serene response. Finally, practice premeditatio malorum. This Stoic technique involves imagining the worst consequences of an impulsive reaction. Is it worth damaging a relationship, losing someone's respect, or harming yourself just for a moment of anger? 3. Don't take anything personally. Imagine being in a meeting with friends or colleagues and suddenly someone makes a hurtful or humiliating comment in front of everyone. Maybe they mock an idea you shared or criticize you for something personal. In that moment, it's easy to get carried away by emotions and feel like the attack is a threat to your identity. Your mind starts racing, you feel powerless, and anger can take over. However, learning not to take things personally can transform your experience in such situations, allowing you to handle them with calm and control. Psychology teaches us that, in many cases, criticism has nothing to do with us. It is often more related to the insecurities and frustrations of the person making the comment. When someone ridicules or humiliates you, they are likely projecting their own internal conflicts. Therefore, it's not an attack on you, but rather a reflection of their own reality. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements emphasizes this principle. Don't take anything personally. By understanding that other people's words say more about them than about you, you free your mind from unnecessary emotional burdens. When we stop taking things personally, we gain control over our emotions. Public criticism can hurt, but by minimizing its importance, we can decide how to respond. This self-control is essential for preserving our inner peace, preventing external opinions from affecting our self-esteem. As Carl Jung mentioned, what irritates us in others is often a reflection of what we need to learn about ourselves. Criticism should not be seen as an attack, but as an opportunity to reflect on our own lives and actions. A great example of how to apply this principle is the story of Oprah Winfrey. In the early years of her career, Oprah was fired from her job as a news anchor at a television station. She was told she didn't have what it takes to be a TV journalist. Being rejected in such a public way could have been devastating for anyone. But Oprah didn't take it personally. She understood that she wasn't being rejected as a person. She simply didn't fit that particular role. Instead of giving up, she used that setback as motivation to redefine her path and pursue what truly inspired her. Eventually, she found her place in talk shows, which led her to become a media icon. Oprah's story demonstrates that, although situations can be humiliating, the key is not to let others' attacks affect. 4. The practice of forgiveness. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer, or like holding a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. As we mentioned earlier, this Buddhist metaphor perfectly illustrates how, by holding on to anger, we only harm ourselves. Forgiveness, however, is not a favor to the other person, but a gift you give yourself. Holding a grudge only ties you emotionally to a situation or person, who probably isn't even thinking about what they did to you. By forgiving, you take control of your inner peace and stop being a victim of your own emotions. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, stated that he who seeks revenge becomes a slave to the one who harmed him. In other words, if we do not forgive, we remain enslaved to the pain someone caused us because it continues to occupy our minds. Forgiveness frees us from this emotional bondage. The ability to forgive not only releases you from the weight of anger, but also allows you to live lighter and with greater serenity. Science supports this idea. Research has shown that people who practice forgiveness have lower levels of stress, anxiety, and even health problems. Holding on to resentment and constant anger releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which negatively affects both our body and mind. By forgiving, we reduce this emotional burden, improving our mental and physical health. Forgiving does not mean forgetting what happened or justifying others' bad behavior. It means freeing yourself from the emotional weight that the event represents. You don't have to allow someone who hurt you to continue having power over you. By forgiving, you decide that they no longer deserve your time, energy, or peace of mind. A good way to start practicing forgiveness is to ask yourself, is it really worth carrying this resentment? What do I gain by holding on to this anger? Reflecting on these questions can be the first step in letting go of the grudge. Even if the harm was significant, understanding that forgiveness is not for the other person, but for you will help you release that emotional burden. Remember, forgiveness is liberation. It is the act of breaking a cycle of suffering that only affects you. As Mahatma Gandhi said, "The weak can never forgive." Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. So if you seek true inner peace, the practice of forgiveness is one of the most effective ways to achieve it. Before moving on to the fifth strategy, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. And if you love this type of content as much as I do, comment below, "I'm ready to grow." Let's keep learning and improving our lives together. 5. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools you can use to transform your life. We often focus so much on what we lack or what is going wrong that we forget everything that is going right. The Stoics understood that gratitude was not just an act of politeness, but a practice with the power to change our perspective on the world. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, reminds us, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. When we complain or focus on the negative, we build a scarcity mindset, constantly feeling dissatisfied, leading to frustration and resentment. But when we practice gratitude, we develop an abundance mindset. Suddenly you realize all that you have, your friends, your family, your health, your job, your opportunities. This shift helps you focus on what truly matters and distances you from things beyond your control. And here's something even more powerful. By focusing on the positive, we start attracting more positivity into our lives. Have you ever noticed how negative people always seem to experience more misfortune? It's as if they become magnets for negativity. But the same applies to positivity. When you focus on your blessings, on what you have and what surrounds you, life responds accordingly. This reflects the well-known idea, we are what we think. If you concentrate on the good, you'll attract more of it. But if you fixate on the bad, you'll be surrounded by negativity. A simple yet powerful daily exercise is to write down 3 things you are grateful for. They can be big or small: a warm cup of coffee in the morning, a conversation with a friend, or simply being healthy. This small habit shifts your focus toward the positive and can make a huge difference in how you approach your day. I recommend doing this at night, right before bed when you're most relaxed. This allows you to reflect on the day with a calm mind, focusing on the good that happened. It's an excellent way to end the day, letting go of worries while cultivating a positive mindset for what's ahead. I've been practicing this every night for over a year, and it truly works wonders. I guarantee you'll be surprised at how it changes your perspective. As an extra tip, I suggest getting a small notebook or journal to make this practice more structured. Write down 3 things you're grateful for and add a short summary of your day, what you learned and what you'd like to improve. And here's something I find crucial. Make a list of 3 to 5 things you want to accomplish the next day. Personally, I usually write 5 tasks. The first few might be create videos or go to the gym, while the others could be finish pending work, meet up with friends, or clean my room. Your list will be different depending on your priorities, but having everything written down means that when you wake up, you'll know exactly what needs to be done without even having to think about it. Science also supports the benefits of gratitude. Study after study has shown that people who regularly practice gratitude experience less stress, greater emotional well-being, and higher life satisfaction. Gratitude can help lower anxiety levels and improve your overall mood. So, if you ever feel stuck in frustration or anger, I encourage you to pause and look around. Ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? This simple shift in perspective can help you break free from negativity and reconnect with the positive aspects of your life. Remember, gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to inner peace. 6. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. One of the most powerful strategies to prevent someone or something from upsetting or angering you is to surround yourself with people who uplift you. Why? Because our environment has a profound impact on how we feel and how we react to external stimuli. If you surround yourself with people who constantly complain, criticize, or focus on the negative, it will be much harder to maintain inner peace and composure. But if you choose to be around wise, positive people who push you to be the best version of yourself, difficult situations will have much less power over you. Think about this. If your circle consists of people who are always complaining or creating conflicts, that negative energy will inevitably seep into you. It's like being caught in a storm. But if your environment is filled with motivated individuals with good energy who seek solutions rather than dwelling on problems, your mind will grow stronger, your patience will increase, and you'll be less susceptible to negative emotions in daily interactions. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. In other words, our relationships are an extension of our habits. If our social habits include people who strive for growth, it will be much easier for us to maintain a calm and serene attitude in the face of challenges. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to be better, not those who constantly drag you into drama or negativity. What about science? Well, recent studies have shown that our emotions are strongly influenced by the people we interact with. A study from Harvard University found that individuals who spend time with optimistic people tend to be happier, less stressed, and, most importantly, less prone to impulsive reactions like anger or frustration. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with negative individuals, your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, will rise, making you more vulnerable to intense emotions. Remember that while we cannot control other people's attitudes, we can choose with whom we spend our time. Be mindful of your social circle. This doesn't mean cutting people out of your life abruptly, but rather being conscious of the energy you allow in. If you notice that someone is constantly dragging you into negativity, it may be time to set clearer boundaries with that person. In my personal experience, this has been crucial. I know many people who constantly complain about everything. The teacher failed me. And I think, no, actually, you didn't study enough. Or, they did this to me. Really? Have you asked yourself if you contributed to the situation in any way? It's a common pattern to see people who always blame others. It's my boss's fault, my co-worker's fault, the traffic's fault. But if you look closely, you'll realize they never take responsibility for their own mistakes. The problem with this is that, without realizing it, you start adopting the same attitudes and thoughts. You begin justifying yourself and blaming others, and little by little, you lose control over your life. It's like a snowball effect. The more you blame others, the less responsibility you take, and in the end, you are no longer in control of your decisions. This doesn't just affect your personal growth, but also your mental peace. You become trapped in a spiral of negativity, where even the smallest things set you off because you are not taking responsibility for your own actions, leaving yourself at the mercy of any emotion that arises. The key is to take control of your life, own your decisions, and recognize that every action has a consequence. When you do this, You free yourself from the need to blame others, and most importantly, you gain control over your emotions. Because in the end, the only thing we can control is our attitude toward what happens to us, not the external events themselves. Therefore, surrounding yourself with people who add value to your life, inspire you, and help you grow is essential for maintaining control over your inner peace. When you choose a positive environment, it becomes much easier to respond to challenges calmly and rationally. Remember, we cannot control what others do or say, but we can decide who we allow to influence our lives. So choose wisely who you spend your time with, because ultimately, they play a fundamental role in how you feel and how you handle life's challenges. 7. Accept impermanence. Everything is temporary, even emotions. One of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism is understanding that everything is temporary. Everything, relationships, situations, and even our emotions, changes. The problem, however, is that we often hold on too tightly. We obsess over keeping someone, a situation, or even an emotion, fearing that everything will slip away. When we hold on, we become trapped in what we can no longer control, and that only leads to suffering. It's difficult to accept that something is no longer part of your life. It's easy to fall into ego, thinking that the situation failed you or that someone betrayed you. Frustration can take over, and you might feel like the pain will never go away. But here's the trick: impermanence. What you feel today, what you're living today, will pass. Everything in life changes, and it's essential to understand that not everything is under our control. Sometimes, other people's decisions or circumstances simply are what they are, and accepting them is the first step toward inner peace. For example, if you've had a relationship with someone who meant a lot to you, but for reasons beyond your control, they are no longer in your life, why hold on to the pain? Sometimes ego wants us to make drastic decisions, like cutting off all communication, blocking the person, or even pretending nothing ever happened. However, that attitude is more about protecting yourself from your own pain than finding a true solution. Accepting the situation as it is allows you to free yourself from the emotional burden that rejection or loss brings. Think about this. If that person can no longer be in your life the way they once were, the best thing to do is to respect that. Not everything has to end bitterly. The experiences you shared still hold value, and that relationship has left you with important lessons, even if the ending wasn't what you expected. Be grateful for what was and let go. What comes next, if it's meant for you, will come at the right time. Life moves on, and clinging to the past only limits your ability to move forward. I know this might sound easy, but believe me, it's not. I've been through it myself, and many times I found myself fighting with my emotions, wanting to hold on to something I could no longer keep. What helps to remember is that it's not your decision. Not everything is under your control. Instead of trying to evade your emotions, my advice is to face them. Many people try to quickly replace what they've lost. It's common to hear that after a breakup, some people are already with someone else a week later. But in my view, that's just a way to avoid the pain. Face what you're feeling. Allow yourself to cry, feel the pain, and process what's happening. Don't rush the process, because it's part of your healing. Remember, life will always bring new opportunities. Don't rush to find quick fixes or fill your time with distractions. If you can take the time to heal deeply, understand what happened, and learn from it, good things will come, trust me. So, let go of what's no longer part of your path. It's an act of maturity. Don't avoid what you feel, accepting it is the key, and above all, be patient with yourself because you are worth it. 8. Discipline in body and mind. The power of exercise and healthy eating. You might be wondering, what do exercise and healthy eating have to do with not getting angry? Let me explain. Emotional well-being isn't just about training your mind, it's also deeply connected to taking care of your body. There's an old saying, mens sana in corpore sano, which means that if your body is well, your mind will be too. And this is absolutely true. When you exercise, you not only improve your body, but your mind also gets stronger. Have you ever noticed how much more relaxed you feel after a good workout? That's because exercise releases endorphins, the happiness hormones, which help reduce stress and anxiety. When you exercise regularly, your ability to stay calm in the face of difficulties also improves. Discomfort becomes manageable, and frustration or anger fades away much faster. The same happens with eating. Eating healthy doesn't just give you the energy to tackle the day, it also affects your mood and how you feel emotionally. Eating well nourishes your brain, helping you think more clearly and make calmer decisions. Now, I want to make an important point. If you can't control what you put in your mouth, what you eat, how can you expect to control your emotions? How we nourish our body directly impacts our mind. I'm not talking about strict diets telling you what to eat and what not to eat, but about finding a diet that works for you, one that nourishes your body and gives you the energy needed to handle whatever life throws your way. Every body is different, so what works for you won't be the same as what works for someone else. Discipline in these areas gives you strength, not just physically, but emotionally. Every time you exercise or make a healthy food choice, you're strengthening your ability to handle what comes. So the next time something makes you uncomfortable or irritated, remember that your body is a reflection of your mind. When you take care of both, anger and frustration lose their power over you. It's not about being perfect, it's about creating a solid foundation of physical and emotional well-being. 9. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself. We all make mistakes, and what's important to understand is that it's okay. Carl Jung's psychology talks about the importance of accepting our shadows, those parts of ourselves we often reject. Jung argued that by integrating our imperfections and accepting them as part of who we are, we can achieve greater inner peace. And when it comes to anger, accepting our emotions without judgment, without labeling ourselves as bad or weak, is what allows us to manage them more healthily. When we make mistakes, it's common to fall into the trap of self-criticism, and that only drags us into anger or frustration. But if we practice self-compassion, meaning we learn to treat ourselves with kindness, we can break that negative cycle. Self-compassion is not weakness. It's the recognition that being human means making mistakes, and those mistakes don't define us. On the contrary, they teach us and help us grow. Albert Einstein, in his wisdom, said, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." This is true. Anger arises when we stop in the past, when we get stuck in mistakes and frustration. But when we move forward with compassion and without judgment, we find balance. We get up, learn, and move on. Imagine if, instead of getting angry with yourself for a mistake, you see it as an opportunity to improve. That small difference can be what helps you remain calm in the face of adversity, because you're not punishing yourself, you're simply learning. The practice of self-compassion is a daily habit that will help you not only reduce anger, but also live with greater inner peace. Perfection is an illusion, and what matters is how we react to our imperfections. As Carl Jung said, "What you deny submits you. What you accept transforms you." Be kind to yourself. By doing so, you'll also be learning to control your emotions and respond with more serenity to challenges. 10. Set healthy boundaries. For me, this is the most important of all strategies, because without it, all the others become harder to implement. Often, we get angry or upset because we haven't set clear boundaries with others. We tend to say yes to everything, to want to please everyone, but in the end, we not only exhaust ourselves but also become vulnerable to others, taking advantage of our willingness. It's essential to understand that protecting your time and energy is not selfish. It's necessary for your emotional well-being. Think about this. When you focus on your own priorities, when your time is protected, people tend to respect you more. Time is limited, and when others see that your attention is reserved for what truly matters, they start to value your presence more. A classic example, have you ever had unlimited access to something, like running water in your home? You realize its importance when the supply is cut off for several hours. The same goes for your time and energy. If you're always available for everything and everyone, no one will truly value what you offer. Only when you make your time more limited, when you focus on what really matters, do others begin to respect your boundaries. Imagine you have a friend who always responds instantly, but one day they can't, because they are focused on something important. You value them much more when you finally connect, because you know their time is limited. That same logic applies to you. Your time needs to be valued by others, but first, you must value it yourself. Ultimately, setting healthy boundaries is not just about saying no to others, but also saying yes to yourself, to your own goals and needs. When you protect your time and energy, you create space in your life for what truly matters, and that gives you peace of mind and helps you handle your emotions with more serenity. I don't mean that you should say no just to feel important or to give the impression you're busy. The key is to actually be busy, with purpose. Set a clear goal. For example, my current goal is to create videos that help people and share ideas that improve their daily lives. But your priorities may be different. What matters is staying focused on what leads to your personal growth and what helps you progress. As a friend of mine says, let Sunday come and say, what a great week, I am better than last week, wiser, stronger, with more experience and clarity. That's the goal. Grow every day, stay occupied with what moves you toward your best version, and don't let anything or anyone distract you from your priorities. When you do this, you not only become a better person, but also avoid the little frustrations and anger that arise when you let external demands take over. Always remember, you are worth so much. Don't let the small things, the anger or frustrations, make you lose sight of what truly matters. You are the key to your own well-being and growth. You have all the power to change, improve, and become the best version of yourself. You are unstoppable. So, what are you waiting for? Take action today and start creating the life you deserve. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, I'm unstoppable, so I know who the victorious ones are who stayed until the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more content like this in the future. Share this video with anyone who might find it helpful, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a member, link in the pinned comment. Now I recommend you watch one of these 2 videos to keep learning about Stoicism and human psychology. A big hug, and see you next time.